Now let's see what happens if I push the main activity onto the background. So I put 1 and 10 and start the button. So update 2, 3, 4. Let me push on background. At 5, I push then the background. And then let's come back there. Then it's all done. So which means even if I push this main activity on the background, it continues to run on background. So let me try again. Start it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, background 8, 9, 10. So you can see that it is running even if I push the activity onto the background. This may be sometimes what you want, but sometimes you may not want to do so. For example, using GPS is a very power consuming one. So if you use a GPS on the current activity, if the activity is pushed back, then you don't have to use a GPS. You don't have to update the location information because the user is using some other app and the like. Then, as soon as the current activity is pushed onto the background, you may want to release the GPS, but the activity comes back on the foreground. You want to regain the GPS resource and so on. So here with this example, let's simulate that kind of activity. That is, here the counting will be paused if I push this activity on the background, but as I brought it back forward, the counting simply resumes. So in activity life cycle, when activity puts on the background, it goes through on pause and on stop. Then typically we do in onStop method to say that now my activity is on background. You may do on pause, but onStop is guaranteed, and the on pause is typically very brief. So you may read the details about this documentation. So when your activities are pushed onto the background and then do something on stop, and then the activities are brought back to the foreground, then it goes through restart, start, resume, and the running state. Then complementary one of onStop is onStart, like resume is on pause. So in onStart, we just say do something since the activity is brought onto the foreground. So let's write some code for that. In doing so, we need to have some member variables to save some information, and then that could be used on background task as well. So private variable, let's say in background. So if it's activities a background or not, let's check it out there. So when on stop is called, then in background is true there, but in on start is called, then in background is now false. So we detect whether the activity is in background or not by overriding on start and on stop method there. Another one is that I want to have another flag that auto counting running. So the auto counting is running or not, we want to maintain that. Then when you click the button before you launch the background task, let's say auto counting is true, but when background task is done, it returns, then the on post execute will catch that. Then let's say auto counting is done, false. Set that. And do background. Do in background will be called as it's brought forward. Backward, it's a stop. Background, the counting will finish. And then foreground, if it's not complete yet, it just continues and so on. So those will be done. So we'd better save the original start and end value. So private val var start number with var and the number. Let's have it member variable. So when you click the start button, if start is null or and is null read from the edit text widget, then say that display auto text, let's say something that it's not valid number. So in string resources, string name invalid int invalid start or and the number, give that message. So get string r dot string dot invalid int is there, and then we stop here, return from set on click listener function there. Then start end is guaranteed number, so start number, let's save it into a member variable, and the number and is there. Another member variable I want to have is a private var start in progress. Means that while it's being counted, the start will be incremented until it reaches end. But in the middle, if the main activity is pushed on the background, we need to save where we were left off. So that's the purpose of start in progress. And also, we need to save the sum made so far, computed so far. So sum in progress. Let's just save it as well. So in this executor, we are going to send the start and the sum in progress as well. At the very beginning, it's 0, but we will call this one again, returning from background. Then we should pass the sum computed so far as well. So at the very beginning, when you click the button, we say that in background is false. As we press the button, it should be false. In auto counting, let's true. Then sum in progress is 0 as we press the button there, and then call the background operation there. Then in background, so we get start number and the end number. Also, we will get some value from parem2 there. So here we pass start and then partial sum. So let's delete this part. Then we should check whether those are all real number or not, because the params are nullable int. So if those are not valid, we cannot proceed. Then we start and so on. But here, what we need to do is as follows. We cannot simply run the program. It detect if it's in background, we should finish the background task. So what we do is in this while loop, if the current activities in background, we need to finish this background task. If we return some value, then the background task will finish. So do background, if it returns null, means that it's not complete yet. So doing background returns, then on post execute will receive that one. So if result is null, then don't do anything. Don't do, these are finishing work. It's all complete, but it's because it's a background, the background task was completed, so just finish it that way. But before you finish it, we need to save those progresses. So start in progress for the next task, the following task, when the activity becomes forward again, progress should be saved. And then sum in progress. So the sums made so far, computed so far, should be saved. Then just complete the task. So when the activity is brought back to the foreground, we can continue with that. So when activity comes back onto the foreground again, onStart is called eventually. And then let's restart. Let's start a new background task. So long computing task. Execute method is called here. Start in progress, and the number is provided, and then pass the partial sum computed so far. So that's what you need to do when the activity becomes on the foreground. But of course, we should call this one only if auto counting is running. It's in on progress. So otherwise, we should not call it. So when counting is done, the auto counting becomes false there. So let's test the app developed so far. The coordination is a little bit complex, so you need to think carefully all the logic you need to cover. So 1 through 10. Let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4. I push background. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But since we have it paused, 6, 7, 8, 9 just resumes where it was left off. And then the average is incorrect, so let's check what's happening. So do in background, it's a sum divided by end start. But end start, as we go backward and background and foreground, those are updated. So we should use the original end number and then start number. When we press the push button, the original and then start number should be used to compute the average. So let's test the program again. One through 10. Start. 2, 3, 4, push background. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. By this time all should be done if we didn't pause, but we have paused. 6, 7, 8 resumes, counting 10, and then average is 5. It's correct number. Okay.